Hey, it's Jameson. Welcome back to the Zorro and Zedd Devlog series. Today, we got a bunch of new changes, so let's get into it. A recent change that I made was the lighting. The lighting was something that was bugging me for a while. It was kind of too colorful and a little bit too bright. I wanted to make it look really dark. A game that I was trying to emulate a little bit was Blood Rain for the PS2. Looks really nice. The draw distance and the darkness kind of like culminate together in what is really like a sweet spot. And it allowed me to do a lot more optimizations to the game because I had a clear set draw distance that I can start culling actors from. So what I did was go into the existing actors and set different cull distances based on the size and whereabouts that you might see the actor. So I'm culling the smaller actors a little bit sooner than the larger actors, but really there's a kind of set bounds when you look at the fog that I changed in conjunction with the lighting system, and I think it really looks a lot crisper and cleaner. I also had two kind of post-process settings overlapping each other, which I didn't realize until I was trying to make adjustments and make kind of the vision that I had come to life. So I went into the player character and noticed that the camera was kind of weird and it's overlapping the post-process settings. So I kind of reverted that into basically null, and I'm just operating off the one post-process volume that I put in each of the levels. The result of that is a nice, crisp, unified environment that allows for greater optimization. As I was delving deeper into the settings for the draw distance, I began looking at the game a lot through the game mode within the editor. That's the shortcut G. When you look at the game mode, you're seeing the game as it would present like when it's being played as opposed to the editor. So it gets you more of a realistic depiction of, you know, what is being rendered on the screen, and it can help with determining what's necessary and what's unnecessary at the point. So when I was getting into that, I started messing around with the option to dynamically spawn the different enemies based on their distance to the character, similar to like what I'm doing with the cull distances, except for I'm, you know, telling it when to spawn as opposed to when to take it away. I was having some trouble with the AI at first when spawning in the characters. When you spawn in the characters, you have to have them adhere to a certain behavior tree that you've set for them. But I was having difficulties with having that work with the patrolling system that I have. So I decided for now just to take the enemies that I had kind of stationary and spawn them in and leave the ones that are patrolling the patrol paths that I previously set up just spawning in regularly. I know that's not the best for optimization, but I don't have a better solution at this point, so we're just gonna have to leave it as is. Basically what I'm doing is at a certain distance from the player character, it's checking the overlap, and if it's within that overlap on spawn, then the character will spawn. And then as we play towards the level, anything that begins to overlap with the basically invisible collision spear will spawn, you know, the additional actors. So when I look in game mode, which was giving me pretty bad global tick time frame rate, there's a huge increase once I kind of called out all of the actors, because I have different kind of skeletal systems set up and different static meshes that are based off those skeletal systems. So the animation tick rate is really what's like detracting from the performance. So this is kind of like my intermediary solution as I, you know, look for different ways to optimize the game. I don't have the greatest graphics card. I have a 2060 right now, which has been kind of a blessing because it's made me really think optimally, because honestly I want to play the game in, you know, solid 60 FPS on the desktop. And a friend of mine lent me a his Steam Deck that I'm doing testing on, and my target around there is, I'd love to have like a solid 60 at all times on the Steam Deck, but like a average 45 on like the bigger levels, I think is a pretty playable thing right now. At certain levels I hit a good 60, some of the smaller levels and like the hub world and the tutorial, and maybe some of the more linear levels that allow for better optimization when culling the different actors. Some of the larger levels like Notre and Damnexus really kind of test their performance because they're a little bit more ambitious with their level design and kind of open world concept. So playing on the Steam Deck, hitting a good, solid 45 and going up from like, 45 and peaking sometimes at 60 FPS, I think is a pretty good spot to be at. One of the last big changes that I've made recently is the addition of a new dragon type. That really kind of shocks the fundamental, soul levels that I've had previously set up. So he kind of replaced the bottom slot and is now worth 1 dragon soul, and everything previously kind of shifted upwards. 1 is now 2, 2 is now 3, 3 is now 4, 4 is now 5. So the new dragon at level 1 is basically an enemy that kind of works to push the player forward and always have something to do. Like I said in previous devlogs, this is a really like flowy game that kind of ties movement in between different combat encounters, and you kind of always want to be doing something. I'm thinking of the push forward gameplay that they have in a game like Doom that really just wants you to keep getting in the action, keep fighting. So similarly with my game, I always want the player to be doing something, whether that's like jumping and doing parkour movement, or like shooting, or using the different sword powers. So the introduction of these little flying enemies, and you'll see them on screen, are what kind of ties the different combat encounters together. And they end up spawning like 200 or something in each of the levels. So really they're tied to like wanting the player to use more of the ranged abilities. So you can use Zedd's arrows to kill them and kind of weaken the enemies, the bigger dragons that you're trying to fight, and then go in for maybe a melee kill, or you can go in and use your powers. What's something that's really satisfying is using the lightning to like jump up over all the groups of enemies and kind of take them out in one fell swoop. I took my older brother's advice with the projectiles in the game. Before they're kind of this lime green, because it's really like going with the motif of this like lime green neon kind of green and purples with the dragons. I was able to shift the projectiles towards a more red orange type of glowing projectile, which really stands out against the backgrounds. And because of the lighting shift, the kind of point light system within the projectile and the Niagara system really like pops more, so it's a lot more visible. It looks cool. I think it's more noticeable and identifiable as this is gonna hurt you if you get hit type of thing. So I'm really happy with how the game's looking right now. I think it's looking really nice. It's playing very well. I'm finding myself getting kind of lost when, I'd say I'll pick it up for only a couple minutes, and then I just end up, spending like an hour just killing dragons because it feels nice, kind of like a Tetris or what have you. So, feeling pretty inspired. Looking for additional ways to kind of optimize the game. I'm thinking of leaning into maybe the spawning system for the chests. have to work on the tutorial level and the hub world and kind of the secret gardens of the game, and you know, working that spawning system into those, because I haven't really done that yet, just done kind of the main levels. But by the time that this video comes out, the demo should be updated. I should have had all those things done, and you can go ahead and try it for yourself. Play the demo, let me know what you think. Leave a comment here if you have any suggestions, or just let me know that you're interested and looking forward to the full game's release. And you know, subscribe to this channel if you're interested in staying tuned to the updates. We'll see you in the next devlog. Bye bye.